Premier League predictions week 35 is here. And, well, I'm going to be predicting all 10 games of the Premier League for week 35, obviously. And, well, the title race is over, the relegation battle is over. The only thing left is the European fights. That's the main thing that I'm going to be predicting. So without further ado, these games are not going to predict themselves. Let's get predicting. Okay, one more try. Come on. No. Starting at the Etihad Stadium, it is Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. And this one, despite them being incredibly far apart in the Premier League table, it's going to be a very close encounter between these two sides. Because Wolverhampton Wanderers have won their last 6 games in the Premier League. They just beat relegated side Leicester City 3-0. But Manchester City, I think this is more of an impressive victory, winning 2-1 against Aston Villa. Omar Marmoush is on fire. There's part of me wanting to go for Man City because even without Erling Haaland, Rodri, and being worse overall this season, I feel like they are starting to get their groove back. And I don't think they've been doing that bad in recent time. And I feel like they are a really good side. But then Wolves, with Matheus Cunha, we're going to have to talk about Matheus Cunha, because he is a player for Wolverhampton Wanderers which is absolutely thriving. In the last game, he teamed up with Al-Nouri and Strand Larsen and all the other players in the attack for Wolves really well. He doesn't just dribble by himself and shoot. He does 1-2s, he makes lovely passes. He's a great all-rounder central attacking midfielder which loves his dribbling and loves his goals. And Wolves are absolutely cooking. So you know what? I fancy a little Desmond Tutu between these two sides. Honestly, it's going to be extremely hard to separate both these sides because both of them are doing really good at the moment. Over to Villa Park, it is Aston Villa versus the Cottagers. Now, Cottagers only just about, with Ryan Sessegnon late minute goal, won 2-1 against last place Southampton. And there is still a chance for the Cottagers to get European football, but I don't see them getting European football this year. I mean, Aston Villa, despite losing to Man City 2-1, I feel like they're going to win this game. Number one, they're at Villa Park. Number two, if you go past the Man City 2-1 loss, can I say Man City is a very good side? But if you go past the Man City loss, they did brilliant. I mean, they won 4-0 against Newcastle. Not 4-0, sorry, 4-1 against Newcastle. That was a brilliant result for them and a brilliant performance. How they responded to be knocked out of the Champions League against PSG was brilliant. And it was only a close game against Man City, and I feel like this is an easier game. And Aston Villa, I mean, just look at all the attacking threat. I know Fulham look really good, but Aston Villa just look better, and they are getting European football. Overall, in terms of form, they also look better. Aston Villa have been way more consistent than Fulham this year, and they're winning this 2-1 at Villa Park. I feel quite confident about Aston Villa winning against Fulham. Over to Leicester City now, the EFL Championship derby, you could call this. At the King Power Stadium, Leicester City versus Southampton. And I've been torn between Leicester and Southampton on who are going to win this. But when I made my decision, I will never change it. One thing I'm going to do differently from now on is when I make a decision on a prediction behind the scenes, I'm going to keep with it and never change it. Because I kind of wanted to change this one multiple times. But I'm going to have to say, both teams are relegated. And it's going to be an incredibly close game. I'm going down the middle. 1-1 between Leicester and Southampton. Although the last 3 games in the Premier League and a couple in the Championship, between these two sides, Leicester have won them all. So I feel like the favourites would be Leicester. But to be honest, there's not much in them and they're both relegated sides. So I'm going to have to play it boring, sit on the fence, 1-1. I think that's a logical prediction. Over to Goodison Park, it is Everton versus Ipswich Town. And Newcastle United, my beloved Newcastle United, has relegated Ipswich. I mean, in my opinion, it was all over when Ipswich lost against Wolverhampton Wanderers. That was the pinnacle moment where it was practically over. And they're facing Everton. I know Everton only have 4 points in the last 5 games, but they are a better side than Ipswich Town. And they are winning this at Goodison Park as well. 2-0 to Everton. They're getting a clean sheet. I got a bang-on prediction correct. Everton versus Chelsea in the last video. So I don't know why I can't get another bang-on one correct for Everton. 2-0 Everton. Under David Moyes, they are cooking. Over to the Emirates Stadium. It is the Gunners versus AFC Bournemouth. And the Gunners, they lost to PSG. To be fair to the Gunners, they did have a few chances where they should have probably put it to bed. But Donnarumma is a world-class keeper and stopped them in that Champions League game. But there's still a second leg. And considering the Gunners is the last English team in the Champions League, I kind of want them to win the entire thing. If I would pick my favourite team in the Champions League at the moment, it is the Gunners. And you know what? I'm going to back up what I said a couple of videos ago. I still feel like they can win the Champions League. I've seen how good Arsenal can play. And if they play at their very best, and if they can respond really well, they can beat PSG. It's going to be tight though, and it probably will go down to something like penalties. But we're talking about this game between the Gunners and AFC Bournemouth. And Bournemouth, they did draw against Man United, and they did go down to 10 men. Although, I think they should be trying to get an appeal for that red card. Because he did kind of slip over and then commit the foul. But it was an accident, so a yellow card probably would have been fair. So they might still have Evanilson coming into this game. But even if they don't have Evanilson, or they do, I still feel like the Gunners are going to win. I have been tempted to change my prediction from my original one, but the problem is each time I change my prediction from my original prediction, I seem to get it wrong. So I'm not changing the 1-0 scoreline towards the Gunners in this one. I'm sticking with the Gunners. I think they are the favourites coming into this. But I would not be surprised for something like a 1-1 or a 0-0. But overall in recent time, Bournemouth have not been out of this world. They've just been like your basic mid-table side in recent times. Still good, but not on the level of Arsenal. But I wouldn't be surprised for a draw. Over to the Amex Stadium, it is Brighton and Hove Albion versus Newcastle United. And Newcastle, I got a bang-on prediction with Newcastle, saying they were going to relegate Ipswich Town by winning 3-0. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, it was a great performance by Newcastle. I was a bit concerned considering it was 0-0 for quite a bit of that game. But in the end, it was fine. But you do have to admit, Newcastle still lost against Aston Villa, and that performance still exists. So it's not going to be a flawless win against Brighton. Yes, I am going to go win to my favourite team, Newcastle. I'm going 3-1. But that's down to Newcastle. I think everyone can agree, even from a Brighton and Hove Albion perspective, Newcastle at the moment are the better team overall. I mean, Brighton, you are missing some crucial players like Rutter and a bunch of other players. And I have to admit, you did win 3-2 against West Ham, which was good. But beforehand, in recent time, you haven't been amazing. You have been a bit meh in some performances. But it is probably going to be a close game between these two sides, after I have seen Brighton knock Newcastle out of the FA Cup. But here I feel extremely confident that Newcastle will not have another blip up, especially when Brighton haven't been at their best in recent time. 3-1 to Newcastle. Over to the G-Tech Community Stadium, it is Brentford versus Manchester United. And it's keeping to the 2 PM 4th of May Sunday kickoff. And this one's going to be a really interesting one. At the moment, out of the time of recording, Brentford have yet to have played Nottingham Forest. I feel like if I had knowledge on how Brentford would play against Nottingham Forest and what happened in that game, I think that would really truly affect my prediction in this one. And I kind of want to know what's going to happen there. And I found this really hard to predict, But I'm not going to change it. As I said, I'm going with what I first think rather than changing it, which did lose me a couple of points last week because I did say Man City was going to win it 2-1 against Aston Villa, but I went 2-2 because I changed my prediction. So I'm going to keep it 1-1 between Brentford and Man United. I mean, Man United, they were a bit unlucky to not get more. They did, ever since that red card, Man United did kind of dominate. But again, that's the shooting and clinicality by Man United, which lacks massively. Although there is a bit of a confidence booster for Rasmus Højlund. It wasn't a great goal, but it was a decent goal to give him a bit of a confidence booster. But overall, their attack is not going to be healed in this game, and it's still going to be pretty decently poor. But I still feel like, even though Brentford look better than Man United at times, Man United still look decent at times. And the fact that they got a draw against Bournemouth, I think they can get a draw against a mid-table Brentford. Two mid-table sides clashing together, so two mid-table sides that are going to draw. 1-1. Over to the mighty London Stadium into a London derby. It is West Ham United versus Tottenham Hotspur. Who would have thought West Ham would be in 17th and Tottenham would be in 16th? That just bizarres me. But I have to admit, I've said this throughout the entire season, and it's getting a bit of repetitive now. Teams from 17th all the way up to 2nd, pretty much, are quite close in quality, in my opinion. And it's been so competitive and it's been so close that it's very hard to separate sides. And I completely forgot Tottenham are going to be tired out in the Europa League because they are literally playing tomorrow. It means there's only a 3-day gap between Tottenham playing West Ham and Tottenham playing in the Europa League. Which can I say, they're probably going to win that game and they're probably going to advance. But they are going to be a bit tired. But because I've already predicted it 3-2 to Tottenham, I can't change it. I kind of want to change it to a draw, but as I said, I'm going Tottenham. I mean, I just can't see Tottenham finishing in 16th. I just can't. At least 14th position for Tottenham, but it is going to be a close game. And overall, I feel like Tottenham are a better side than West Ham. I mean, West Ham have not been doing good at all. I mean, at least Tottenham have won in the Premier League in the last 5 games. West Ham haven't even done that. So 3-2 to Tottenham. Over to Stamford Bridge, it is Chelsea versus Liverpool. And Liverpool are crowned champions after beating Tottenham Hotspur 5-1. And I forgot to say about Tottenham, it was an absolute shambles. Crumbled to pieces. The only positive to take out of that game was a brilliant cross by James Maddison from the corner and a brilliant goal by Solanke. But Liverpool thoroughly deserved. And one annoying thing is the last 2 years, before this year, I've said back to back that Liverpool are going to win the league. But then this year, I didn't. But I was very close to. That really annoys me. I should have been backing up Liverpool this year to win the league. Oh well. Liverpool have won the league, and I think they're going to win this game. I mean, Chelsea, Nicholas Jackson did score. But overall, I can see Sanchez messing up in goal to give Liverpool a chance. I feel like maybe it'd be some sort of corner. He'll come out too far from his area. He'll miss the ball. And then Liverpool will have kind of an open goal to score from. I mean, Sanchez is a great shot stopper. Honestly, great goalkeeper. But in terms of catching the ball in his area and coming out to collect it, I don't think he's the greatest at. And overall, Liverpool are better. So I'm going logical. I'm going 2-0 to Liverpool. I am kind of tempted to go for Chelsea because they're actually fighting for something when Liverpool already have the title in their hands. But I'm going to have to go for the better side, Liverpool. Plus, Cole Palmer hasn't exactly been his best. But over to the Monday fixture at 8 PM. It is at Selhurst Park. It's Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest did very well to beat Tottenham 2-1. I can't believe I went for Tottenham to get a point in that game. Tottenham are just terrible at the moment, at least in the Premier League. But Nottingham Forest, you were so unlucky in the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester City. You lost that 2-0, obviously, but you hit the post 3 times. The problem with Nottingham Forest is they have to start well, you know, especially if they score. They have to start well, score first, and then they hold off. They're really good at holding off like a 1-0 or 2-0 lead. But when they're actually 1-0 or 2-0 down, they find it very hard to get back in the game. Because what they like to do is score first, and then they like to defend after getting that first initial goal. And they're great at doing that. And they could have easily came on the comeback against Man City. But Morgan Gibbs-White hit the crossbar, that would have been a worldie, then hit the post, and then a header hit the post. They were so close of getting a draw against Man City, in that second half in particular. But it is what it is. And you know what? Crystal Palace, they're through to the final. They won 3-0, they got a draw against second place Arsenal, and the weird thing is Crystal Palace, they lost 5-0 to Newcastle and 5-2 to Man City. Yet they draw against Arsenal and beat Aston Villa. That is completely bizarre. And you know what? They're going to be fired up for the final. And last time in the reverse fixture, I remember it was 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. And in that game between Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest at the City ground in the reverse fixture, it should have been 0-0 in that game. It was an incredibly close game and it could go either way in this game. But they're at Selhurst Park, and I've seen Crystal Palace do really well against Aston Villa, 3-0 win. And I'm very confident, I don't know why. I suppose Crystal Palace, in my opinion, are equal in quality with Nottingham Forest. I know I've been slacking off Nottingham Forest time and time again, but if Crystal Palace can score first, I think they can win this 1-0. And I've got a sense feeling that Palace can. And it's weird, this Premier League season, even all the way from 6th into mid-table, it is so close in quality. We've seen Nottingham Forest at random times get absolutely battered for no reason and no logical explanation. So a 1-0 to Crystal Palace surely is definitely possible at Selhurst Park. And now on to my goal of the week. And I'm going to have to give it to Yassin Iwari. I have to admit, there was another goal in that Brighton game that I could have given it, but this one just looked better. And it was an absolute worldie from the Brighton player. I mean, you can't go wrong with that for goal of the week. But how did I do last week? I did brilliantly. I got 9 points out of 18 points. Now, the reason why it isn't out of 20 points is because the Nottingham Forest Brentford game has yet to actually be played. So I could have even more points than 9. I could have 11 points. But overall, that puts me on 182 points out of 700 points. I'm absolutely balling in recent time. Really happy with my weeks in the last few weeks. And hopefully you're happy with your predictions or whatever you're doing. Have a very lovely day. One more thing to say. Toodle pip.